Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, a year of magical learning. Today we're on book 116, and we're going to talk about mud, sweat, and tears. If you have to ask, you'll never understand. Okay, take it over, Chris.
Yeah, I liked that intro. That was a little different than you normally do, so I like that one. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about, as Drew just mentioned, the book is called Mud, Sweat, and Tears, the Autobiography of Bear Grylls by Bear Grylls. You guys know who Bear Grylls is, right? I mean,
No.
You don't know who Bear Grylls is?
I know him. I just don't know his name. What Bear Grylls?
Bear is the crazy dude that they drop off in the wild, and he has to find his way out with nothing but he doesn't get anything. They just literally drop him off into the wild, and he has to find his way back home. That was the original show.
He's the British Special Forces guy I watched on Netflix.
Yeah.
A bunch of those on Netflix, and I watched almost all his series.
Yeah, no, he's unreal. So the show was called Man vs.
But
Wild.
I just never knew his name.
His name's Bear Grylls. He's a former special armed forces services guy for the British military. I think they call it SAS. It's kind of their version of Navy SEALs.
The paratroopers.
So Bear Grylls is wild. His show is called Man vs. Wild. The stuff that he does is unreal. He's like a modern day MacGyver. I don't know how he knows how to do what he does, but
he's just in the special forces. That's what he has to learn. I mean, it's learning about survival.
Yeah.
I watched that series. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great show. I used to love watching it too. And now they have Celebrity Man vs. Wild, where he'll take a celebrity out with him, or they have to survive together. Anyway, it's a pretty cool show. But Bear Grylls is just one of those people that he's such a unique individual, right? There's no other Bear Grylls in this world. The only other guy that I can think of that comes even close would be a dude the one guy that got stabbed by the stingray and died. Steve Irwin, yeah, or something like that. Where's that guy where you're like, oh my god, yeah, Steve Irwin. He's that crazy guy that hangs out with crocodiles and stuff. Bear Grylls is one of those dudes where it doesn't make sense, but it's amazing to watch when we see it from the outside, So that was actually the reflection title from this one is if you have to ask, you'll never understand. So as I was reading the book, the thought came up to me is why do we do what we do? And for most of us in this world, that's the ultimate question, right? It's what's our purpose? Why are we here? Why do we want to get up every day and go do what we do? And I think for most of us, I don't know about you guys, but before this whole journey for me, I kind of thought it was a bit of a myth. It was yeah, that's great, we all have a purpose, but I don't know what that means. And I don't know how you want me to just wake up every day and go do something. I didn't understand that didn't connect in my head in general, and I just kept doing what I was doing in my own life. And then you look over and you turn on the TV and you're watching the Discovery Channel and you see a dude like Bear Grylls and you're like, why does he do this? Where did it come from? How do you become Bear Grylls? It's and why can't I capture some of that magic is what I was thinking as I was reading through this book and thinking back of my previous life. And Bear said something in this book that just kind of stuck to me. And he was like, if you have to ask, you'll never understand. This is a quote from Bear Grylls. And I don't know why that quote just really stood out to me. And that's because of how I feel today, right? We're not supposed to understand Bear Grylls' purpose, that's the whole point of it. Only Bear needs to understand, what his purpose is in this world. And after reading this book, it's crystal clear that Bear has a purpose, right? This guy, his life is pretty amazing, actually. His purpose, in my opinion, came from, he failed a couple times in the SAS program to get through, and he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. He was one of those dudes who just fought and never wanted to give up kind of thing. He kind of took that to the extreme a little bit, and he decided to do some other paratrooping stuff, and eventually he jumped out of a plane. He was jumping out of planes all the time. One of the days, his parachute didn't open, and he was lucky to be alive. It never opened, and he hit the ground, and he broke his back, and he was in the hospital for a year. He didn't know if he's ever going to walk again, kind of thing. And he was really young. He was only in his early 20s. And that fight back from just being able to walk every single day, all of his past life kind of caught up to him, of all the skills that he had learned. He just got this wild dream of hey, I'm not just going to walk again someday. I'm going to go climb Mount Everest. And that was his singular focus. And he just kept going and going until he ended up climbing Mount Everest. And he became one of the first British people, one of the, I don't know, it was only 10 people or something like that in Britain that had ever climbed Mount Everest before. He raised the funds, and he did it all on his own to just prove to himself that he could go do this thing, and he did it. He summited Mount Everest, and then he came back, and then Man vs. Wild happened, and here we are. We see Bear Grylls on TV, and we're like, man, this guy's wild, right? Well, that's the whole thing about purpose. Is you're not supposed to understand why he does what he does, but he understands why he does what he does, and he's motivated and he's driven by that every single day. And for me, it just reminded me of the Alchemist, right? The first reflection of this book, when you truly want something, the whole universe conspires to start to make it happen. And For me, the universe does not start to make it happen until the day when you decide, this is my purpose, right? And then once those things connect, and then it's kind of like, watch out. For myself, that all kind of connected after I met Amelia. The stuff that I do these days, like, if you have to ask, you'll never understand. You're not supposed to understand what drives me every single day. It's true, I'm not supposed to understand what drives you every single day. All I know is I don't know where I'm going to be in the next, 20, 40, 60 years from now, but I know what I'll be doing, and I know why I'll be doing it. And I don't know, I've never felt more inspired in my life. And that's kind of the power of purpose, I feel like. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. The question that I posed was, what pushes you to make the most of your unique existence? So yeah, get your guys' thoughts.
I'm pushing to you.
If you have to ask, you never understand. Because to me, as both of you should know, I'm an Aggie, and I'm a hardcore Aggie.
Yeah.
And from an outsider perspective,
What do you mean Aggie?
Aggie, Texas A&M Aggie.
Oh, okay, all right.
School with the weirdest tradition ever, right? From the outsider, what are these guys doing? I mean, you're talking about the Aggies has the weirdest tradition, of all the schools in the United States. It's just, but the thing is, for me, those traditions is part of who I am, and I proudly manifest the culture. I spread the culture of Texas A&M everywhere I go. When I became an Aggie, my youngest sister became an Aggie. Her kid became an Aggie. My kid would be an Aggie. This is the Aggie tradition where all this weird thing, it makes sense to us, but from outsider perspective, you cannot understand it. And to me, even after 25 years, I'm still an Aggie at heart, and I still feel so proud to be part of that culture. And it's gonna go on for generation to generation. Like I said, my sister become an Aggie, her kids become an Aggie, and so this is like tradition that is so strong. Like, you bleed maroon, right? That's the saying, you bleed maroon. This is how deeply connected you are with the tradition that is you, versus somebody else's tradition. You adopted that and you really, really believe in it. And if you look from an outsider perspective, whoever never went to Texas A&M, they don't understand why we do many of these weird things that no one would even fathom to even have a thought of saying, hey, maybe we should do something like this. And to me, this is exactly kind of like fitting to what I experienced with my university time at Texas A&M, because I understand it, and it brings so much powerful emotions and memory just from the fact that I'm part of something that only I can understand it from the outsider perspective. And I think, this is where, regardless of what people say, people can say many jokes about Aggie. I have no shame of being an Aggie. And I will tell everybody that I'm an Aggie. And I will spread the word to the generations that as long as I live, and as long as I can, come across somebody, I would profess that I'm an Aggie, and I will influence you in terms of how much I love being an Aggie, because this is what I'm doing now. I'm not being paid to advertise for Texas A&M, but this is to do because it's aligned with the values that I hold, right? And to me, I really, really like the reflection title, and I think it resonates well with what you say in terms of your core values and what you do. That is your own calling. It's going to be completely unique, and it's going to be things that people don't understand. And if you have to ask, you will never understand it.
I think the idea of purpose in general, for me, is like that idea. Like, I don't need to understand your purpose, but I understand why you do what you. I understand how that purpose is driving you. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I was meaning with
your passion in terms of what people. I mean, you look at me, for example, right? Like I say, I'm 25 years out of school, and I speak to it. I see if I'm still in that, because right now I can go to any Aggie, say, hey, I'm a class of 2000, right? And I say, wow, oh, really? I'm a class of 2022 or whatever. The tradition carries on, right? And the purpose is so motivating from within that you actually drive it yourself. There is this traditions that once you delve into it, it becomes part of you, and it never ends. Because even if I pass on, my kid's gonna have it, and my grandkids gonna have it, right? If you look at a lot of these Aggies graduates, most of the family will be an Aggies. There's gonna be some black sheep in the family that goes to the Texas University, right? But the numbers of Aggies versus the Longhorns in the family, it's gonna be a pretty outnumbered. It's just one of those things that it's harder to get out of it. Once you get out, it's just one of those things where you would not understand it if you're not an Aggie, but you understand why I'm so motivated because you know that I have a purpose and you know that weird tradition that Texas A&M have, it is actually resonating with me. That's the only thing. You don't know why, but you just do know there's a purpose and there's a reason why I'm so passionate and I talk so much enthusiasm about the culture that I experience.
And I think the fun thing for people that don't understand it is to watch the fruits of the product that generates out of it, where you're like, I don't get it, but it's kind of cool to watch. It's like watching Tupac and Biggie. I didn't get their life. I don't know what was driving them, but they for damn sure enjoyed the output of it. And that's all that I need to know from the outside perspective, right? Is I will never understand what drove Tupac to want to, write about the stuff that he wrote about and perform the way that he wanted to perform. I would, but that's the point. It's like, if I have to ask, I'll never understand. Like if I went up to him, I was like, yo, hey, Tupac, where does this come from? And he'll be like, man, I can't tell you this. That's my entire life wrapped up into this one song that I made or this one output that I do every single day. I can't tell you what I get up, or I can, but you won't get it. That's the point. I can tell you guys all day long about living for Amelia, but you guys won't understand it.
I won't understand it. I just know that you have a purpose. That's the only thing I understand. That you have a purpose and you are serious about what you do, right? But I would never understand because I cannot experience that. It's just not possible because everyone has their unique calling that they have to follow. Exactly the path you follow, that uniqueness, you will have something that no one can relate to.
Right.
And that's
but what we can do is we can all get together and we can have this conversation and we can talk about it. And and that's
we only know that guy is passionate about health. That guy is passionate about learning, whatever. He has a passion, and you know that what the passion is. You just don't understand the way that he or she understands it.
Exactly.
So you all day long about what does it mean to be an Aggie and to be part of that culture, but you would not understand the depth of what I feel. It's not possible. I cannot explain it, right? It's something that I can explain to you, and from an outsider perspective, you will never understand.
I'd love to get your thoughts.
No, I like what you guys are saying. I mean, just kind of resonate and just kind of like talk about second that, But I think we're always a curious species, I guess. And sometimes I think that inquiry into why do you do what you do I think it can come from many things, but maybe sometimes it could come from one person's own lostness almost, or one person wanting to maybe find their own calling, like, oh boy, it seems like they're onto something. They're like really energetic, or there's something, like, why do you, what is this about? So I think sometimes that inquiry about trying to find out what someone's purpose can come from some person's own internal struggle to find their own purpose. But I think that you're right that you can't really explain it sometimes. And yeah, like that, whatever that line was, if you have to ask, you'll never understand. And it makes me think about when you guys were talking about actually kind of the education circles about being woke or Black Lives Matter. Like if you have to ask questions sometimes, like what, they can just be inappropriate because it's like, dude, if you're asking that question, you really don't get what's going on,
You just shut up and listen, like
shut up and listen, or you gotta do your own research, like I'm not here to, answer these really naive questions. But I think that there's not, I mean, even like, me personally, sometimes I kind of ebb and flow in my own purpose. And it can be really awesome when we see somebody who's just dedicated to their purpose. And I think they do get a lot of like kind of followers, and people want to end up knowing like, why do you do what you do? Why, what's the magic here? What keeps you going? But I like, Chris, what you said, that it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, it's so intrinsic and so entrenched in us that sometimes even all we have is words to explain it, but sometimes that's not really enough to explain someone's purpose or someone's passion. And that's why I think like the thing is, if you have to ask, you'll never understand. And it's really interesting what like this guy, Bear Grylls, what a weird name. What someone can do when they really have that purpose, and I think that's one thing incredible, even just the way that we you can be completely devoted to something and, amass followers and can be, I don't want to say idols, but inspirations, maybe inspirations for others, to really tap into their own, not to tap into someone else's person, but sometimes to tap into your own passion and purpose.
Yeah. You just said something that I absolutely loved and something I've been thinking about a lot lately. As time goes on further from when this journey first started with me and Amelia, probably, let's just say it took me 4 to 5 months just to even find the trail and start this journey. Then maybe the next 6 months or so after that journey, I wanted to tell people, True was there for all of this, right? I wanted to tell people and share it with people what I was experiencing and what I was feeling and how I wanted to honor my daughter. And I tried to articulate it, but I couldn't get the words. I knew what I was trying to do, and I knew what was motivating me every single day, but I couldn't necessarily refine it enough to be able to describe it to somebody. Somewhere in between that, about a year to where we are now, I started to be able to find the words to describe it. And then not the worst part, then what the weird thing that started to happen is I didn't want to describe it anymore to anybody. I don't care. Like it's almost like I'm back to square one, where it's like, if for me to even get to just saying to you the words living for two for me and what it means to me, there's so much that's gone into that formulating into my mind and coalescing and into my actions and what I've done every single day of my life. I can't even begin to describe it to you unless you really wanted to sit down with me and then walk and then like open the book, I guess, if you will, and we go through it. So now I've gotten to the point in time where there's so much to unpack there that's so deeply ingrained into me that I honestly like just actively don't tell people anymore, because I'm like, look, if you like, I don't even want to, I'll just let the fruit of my labor and what actions that I do every single day speak for what it means to me. And if you want to know more, then we can talk about it, but if you want to know more, then really you're going to have to sit down and really know more, if that makes any sense. And it really resonated with me with what you were saying about like the whole Black Lives Matter and, things like that. Like, I don't have time to explain this to other people, and I don't want to. Like, I mean, I have things to do, and this isn't for anybody else but myself at this point in time and my daughter. So it goes, it's like, I know if this is how I'm feeling now, and 20 years from now, like I'll probably be quieter. I'll probably never talk to anybody about this stuff, because it'll be like, oh man, you want to unpack 32 years of this, what's been going on? Watch out. You better grab a recorder and sit down with me for like 3 weeks, because otherwise I don't want to invest my time into the conversation unless that's what you really want out of this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if they do want to do that, then I'm happy to do that with them. But that's why these projects for me are so meaningful, is I don't have to explain to somebody. I don't have to unpack it all for them. I'm leaving that trail for others to follow if they want to. And if they don't, I don't care. But like, I'm leaving this trail for myself to go remind myself if I ever get lost. But at the same time, like, if you want to go follow what's been going on in my own mind, there's 2 books that I've written at this point in time where you can go follow along and like, but you got to be willing to spend that time. Otherwise, I'm not going to give you anymore. You know what I mean? That really resonated with me, what you were saying, because I agree. Like, it's hard to describe this.
There's
like,
such a backstory to tell.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's such a massive backstory to tell. Like Bear Grylls, like you have to sit down and read his book to even understand how the hell does this guy like to just get dropped off into the jungle and try to make it home after 2 weeks or whatever. Spend some time reading his book, and it could make a little bit of sense, but still, that's still even just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, well, it's like we always want this shortcut almost, like, right. Oh, tell me what's your purpose. And sometimes, like you talk about, it's a long journey, like it takes a long time to actually distill it all out. So it's not something you just say in a couple of sentences. Right.
Well, you can. Like, the thing is, like, for me, I just say, what living for two means for me is living my values every single day through my actions with my daughter. Like, that's what living for two means to me every single day.
What the whole backstory of that is,
Right.
Like that's how the amalgamation, how kind of the alchemy of those words came together in that moment has 30, however many years of backstory, and that's kind of what really people are asking, or what really inquisitive people are asking,
right.
Who really want to understand. They want to understand, like, I mean, you talk about, like, you might they see the tip of the iceberg, but there's a lot underneath there.
And true for you, talking about your Texas A&M example, I mean, there's hundreds of years of that tradition that's gone into why they do what they do, and it just makes sense for you. And I don't understand that. I'm not gonna understand.
Yeah, because even if I tell you about it, you will never understand it. That's the point. Is even if you sit down with me and explain every backstory there is, you may get the concept, but you don't truly understand.
Right.
And that's the same thing from me telling people about the Aggie tradition, and for me to understand your purpose of living for two. I get some part of it, but I don't truly understand. And that's the thing is, I can't explain it to you, right? You have to be there, right? You have to be there to experience it. I can't just recount the events and tell you a story about it. I don't think the word can accurately express the emotions and the experience that you feel. And so for me is when a person does things that other people don't understand, it means to me that a person don't give a shit about anyone else. He only focus on what he values most. And I think that person has a strong calling, has true purpose that he found. And a lot of people, when I do certain things, I can recall back in my youth day, right? I do a lot of things not because I want it. It's because I thought that people want that. So I want what people want.
Right.
Right? People
Right.
tell me you should be this, you should learn that because of this and that. Is what they want that I think I want. I don't really know. And so I don't really understand it. But a person who does something that they truly understands, it's gonna be strange from an outsider looking in. And to
100%.
me, when you have something that you do that's so unique and you are so into it that you are distracted from the noises around you, then you actually have found your purpose and your calling that you're supposed to do. Because imagine like everybody telling me, hey, Aggie is stupid, takes 4 person to screw a light bulb and all that, right? It doesn't faze me a bit, right? That's the thing. Is I don't care if you're, hey, Chris, you kind of naive living for two. What the hell is living for two means, right? It should not faze you, because if it does, you are taking my opinion of some value against your core value. That means that core value isn't the core value you want. But if you tell me, hey, whatever you say, it's not going to change the slightest bit, because I know what my callings are and I know what I have to do. And it doesn't matter what you call me, or it doesn't matter if you tell me I'm not, mature or whatnot. I don't care, right? That's to me, it's a celebration to have found the path that you're supposed to be on. And to me, in my opinion, is the core of what we want to do as company is that person find the path they're supposed to be on. Because like I said, you can go fast, but it's going to be worse when you're on the wrong bus. You have to find the right bus before you press on the gas pedal. So finding the right path is a cost to celebrate. And I think having somebody with that kind of an attribute in terms of how they behave means that person truly found something worthwhile for themselves.
Yeah, and then they're gonna produce some amazing, great shit. That book I was telling you guys about, Think Like a Monk, it just keeps resonating in my head all day long. I've been thinking about it. He mentioned in this book, preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words. Right? Like it's Bear Grylls is preaching the gospel of Bear Grylls, every single day through his actions of what he does. And if somebody were ever to ask him, what the hell do you do? Then maybe use some words to describe it. People should see your purpose in action every single day and go, I may not understand it, but I at least see. It's like game recognizes game, kind of thing. It's like purpose recognizes purpose when it's going on, because you're like, oh, I don't get it, but get it. You know what I mean? And you don't need to tell me.
I like that quote. Preach the Bible, preach the gospel, and speak when you have to. What you do speaks so loudly I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? Your actions should always be like 99% of your purpose out there being presented to the world, right? Because then they see it. If somebody wanted to sit down and understand in words what living for two meant for me, it would be a long conversation. And I just don't think that people want to sit there and care. There's people that I've literally given a book to that I'm like, hey, you want to understand what this means? Here you go, read the book. And do they do it? No, I mean, some people do, and I appreciate that. And we have a great conversation afterwards, But some people say they want to, and then you give them a book. You're like, hey, I don't need to sit down and talk to you about it. Here you go. Here's the book.
You want that shortcut. Yeah.
Right. And they still won't do it, And then you're like, well, did you really? I mean, I'm glad I saved my time, because I could have spent 20 hours of my life, like investing into you, mentoring or whatever, and you really didn't want to know. You think you did, but you really don't, you know? Okay. All right. You guys have any final thoughts, anything? I feel like
Well, I mean, like, I want
I
to.
don't think that, but the point is you have to understand that everybody has a unique experience, and if you can find yours, it's gonna look weird from the outside, and that means that you're on the right path. That's like, kind of summary of this thing. Like when people think what you're doing is weird, and you really like it,
Right.
you are on the right path.
I guess
If everybody agrees with you, that means you're on the same path as them. And so that means that for whatever, it's close to your path, but not really your path.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're just doing what other people want, not what you want.
Yeah, I like it. So what do you got?
I guess I was just gonna answer the question, Dan. What pushes you to make the most of your unique existence? I guess my answer right now is just my own mortality.
You mean like you're afraid of dying? Is that what you mean?
I'm not afraid of dying, but the fact that death is gonna come. They only live once, and so I think that's what pushes me to better myself or to continue to adjust myself to live my unique experience and not fall into the traps of, or just keep traction on what I'm trying to become. So I think it's like, not necessarily the fear of mortality, but just the realistics of limited time here on Earth,
Yeah. I mean, that's real for sure. I mean, if you're not living your own values, you're living somebody else's values. There's no other way around it, right? Like you're doing something for somebody every single day. So whether those actions you're performing are for yourself or for somebody else,
but we didn't create values. I mean, the values of individualism, preparation, generosity. I mean, we didn't create those. I haven't heard us say a new word yet, in
That's
terms
true.
of value. So I don't think we necessarily are creating values.
No, I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. I think we can create a unique mixture of it, though.
These values are what we observe and what we label them. I mean, generosity is something we label. It's somebody, they exude or manifest a generosity nature. Then we say, hey, he's generous, right? And you can have a combination of these things. We haven't created any value. We just say either you exude that and we observe it and then we report it and we put a label on it.
Yep. All it is just a way of being,
It's your action. It's like making a cherry pie versus a pecan pie. We all have access to the same ingredients in life. It just is whether or not you choose to make your own pie or you're going to eat somebody else's pie. And you're going to go, man, how'd you make that blueberry pie? It's delicious. My unique recipe.
You do a little bit of courage. You do a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's either you're either asking me how I made this amazing dessert, which could have come from 50 years of tinkering, or you're just eating this beautiful pie at the end of it, or you either understand, you're like, man, I don't know where that pie came from, but I know I can make a damn good pie on my own,
And I don't know. I mean, I think maybe when they educate younger people, they do talk about values more, but I feel like, kind of in this, is it non-secular means non-religious? I always get confused with that word. Secular means non-religious, right?
No, I think secular means religious.
So okay. So like, I feel like, high school is really like non-secular, and like, we don't really talk about a lot about secular is not subject by religious rules. Yeah. So secular would mean like, absent from the church. So like in high school, I don't think, at least like I feel like you really don't talk about like values as much. And yet, which I think is unfortunate, because I think those are actually, like they talk about making pies, those are actually the ingredients that actually make someone successful and happy. And I think it's, we are disempowering kids sometimes by just trying to teach them like, meticulous ways of solving the algebraic equation or writing an essay, and not talking about values more.
They that Think Like a Monk book, he was talking about the kids that come to the ashrams or whatever when they're learning these things, and they're like 5 years old in India and stuff like that. And the first thing that they teach them is breathing. And they're like, why is that the first thing you teach kids? And they're like, that's the only thing that you can have control over for your entire life, in terms of what you do and what you don't. Like talk about the basics and fundamentals, right? I agree with you. We don't really teach the tools of how we teach the outcomes, like we teach, hey, this is a blueberry pie, right? But you don't get taught how a blueberry pie is made often, you know what I mean? Or like just how to be a human. They should have a how to be a human class in school, I think that would go a long way. I agree with you. I mean, and you're an educator, right? So like you see this stuff every single day. I mean, how many of your kids, if you ask like, what do you like to do and why do you like to do it? What do you think they would say?
They would look at you really weirdly.
Be like, what do you mean? I
Play
baseball."
Fortnite.
Yeah, I play Fortnite. What do you mean? Like, that's what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I look at my phone. Like, that's it. It is a skill that is lacking for sure. But awesome, fellas. All right, any final thoughts, or you guys ready to wrap for the night?
Yeah, let's wrap.
Like a good old taco.
All right, good deal. So thanks for everybody for joining. The question we can leave with y'all is, what pushes you to make the most of your unique existence? And thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
All right.